Because I am.
All right. Well, let's just run into it. What's up, y'all? So this is Mr. Guzman. We're here from LSU, and I've got some of my LSU students here with us. And why don't y'all introduce yourselves real quick?
Hey guys, my name is Liza, and I'm the president for LSU.
Hello, I'm Pamela, and I'm an LSU leader.
Hi, my name's Isabella Ramirez, and I'm vice president at LSU.
My name's Miguel. I'm just kind of in LSU, just chilling. I'm also on the podcast. It's great to be back.
Cool. Glad to have y'all here. Cinco de Mayo is next week, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, next Friday.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk about that because for me, just speaking personally about Cinco de Mayo and the history of it, like it's always kind of upset me because everybody here in America treats it like it's, for one, a lot of people think it's Mexican Independence Day, and I really hate that when people come up to me and, hey, happy Mexican Independence Day, and it's like, no, it's not. It always upsets me, even since I was like y'all's age. Like I knew it wasn't that, and it's just always upset me. And I just want to talk about that because there's a lot more history behind Cinco de Mayo that I didn't really realize until recently. I read some articles exposing some other history behind it that I didn't even know until, like I said, just recently. So it's kind of crazy. It made me think about it in a different way. So I just want to ask you all as younger students, and I'm sure some of you have taken the Latino history class here, or other classes related to that. What do y'all think about Cinco de Mayo? Like, what do you know about it? What is it to you? So let's go around.
I didn't even know much about it up until you sent out the article like earlier this week. I was very surprised because usually Cinco de Mayo is just something that me and my family have never celebrated. We don't even acknowledge it some years. And it's more like in school where people are like, oh, what, are you going to go over here? Like, here's a sale for Cinco de Mayo, like margaritas and stuff like that. Or people wearing around sombreros or like the traditional Mexican patterns, even though they're not Mexican. And it really doesn't make sense. Like, okay, like I don't understand what you're really celebrating. So I didn't really know that it was like the war with like France and Mexico and how like, it wasn't really the independence really. Mm-hmm. So it was like a bunch of like, France had a bunch more soldiers than us and stuff like that, but it was still like not what I had expected. Like I don't see how like drinking and like wearing all these like traditional Mexican stuff correlates with that. So it was like really confused me and just bothered me. It icked me.
Yeah. What about you, Pam?
To be honest, I also didn't know much about Cinco de Mayo just because, like, my family also doesn't celebrate it. I asked my mom this morning of, like, her thoughts on it, and she was like, oh, I don't really care about it. And she was like, oh, okay.
And your mom's from Mexico, right?
Yeah, she's from Mexico.
And you too, right?
Same thing.
Yeah, okay.
And
oh, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I'm basically going to say the same thing as them. I never really... I don't think I've ever celebrated Cinco de Mayo in my life, but I always knew it was never Independence Day, mainly just celebration through school and Spanish class and like through like other people hearing like things like that and going out to eat and stuff. But me personally or my family, we've never celebrated it.
Sure.
The thing I really only knew about it was like that battle in Puebla. Mm-hmm. It was like just like the French army, they were like supposed to win, but they didn't. Yeah. And yeah, other than that, the only reason why I knew that is because I watched this movie with my dad about the battle. I was like 8, really gory, so gory. That movie like messed me up.
Oh God!
What movie was that? I don't remember any movie about that. What was that?
I don't remember. It was just Cinco de Mayo.
I have to look that up.
I remember.
I have to look that up.
I don't know if I was exactly 8 or something, but I was like really young, and then I saw the movie. Like I remember there was this part where this guy, he was like tied up to like 4 horses, each limb, and they put him. Like,
what?
And they showed that, and I was like, right. Looking back at it.
Scar for life.
Yeah, we might cut that right there. But that's interesting. I gotta look that up and see what that was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely not Mexican Independence Day, and like I said, that always upset me, and always was just like, dude, stop saying that, like. And to me, it's just always been really just dumb and ignorant. Like people in other countries, like celebrating the Battle of Gettysburg or something. Like, why would they do that? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And like the Battle of Puebla, of course, was a big battle, and it was a significant win for us, for Mexico. because I mean, it was such a smaller army. I've seen different numbers on that. Like I've seen some places report like 800 and others like 2,000. So either way, it was a smaller army against like, it was like 6,000 French.
They had the advantage.
Yeah. And so that was of course big, a significant thing. So of course it's meaningful, but yeah, like I was always curious about like that, the history of it and how it got turned into like Mexican Independence Day and where people started seeing that. That's what I ended up sending you, was that article, and I wanted us to talk about that just to go a little deeper on it because, everybody in California then, I guess when they got word of it like a year later, they celebrated and they thought it was just like a great win. But then they turned that into a political rally, a way of helping out Mexico to raise funds and to, help them with their war efforts. What did you think about that article after you read it?
I was just more surprised of how like armed France was than us, and it was just more surprising because it was also mentioning like after that I had seen like it is way more celebrated in the U.S. than it ever has been in Mexico. Like it's really just Puebla that celebrates it in Mexico, and even like the whole article was just like how I'm still confused on how that win turned into like the whole U.S. celebrating.
Did anybody else want to chime in on that?
No.
Isabel?
I was just going to say, I think it's kind of a little strange how it is mainly like California. They do have a valid reason for celebrating this because they put in the support to help Mexico. That's like what actually happened. But when you look at other articles, like right before this, we were looking at the
Smithsonian?
Or however you say it. And like all they know was it's not Independence Day, but they have no like knowledge on what California actually did.
Yeah.
So I find it a little like ironic that everyone is celebrating it when it's really should just honestly be California, like their state. They were the ones that put in the effort and like used like the political rally to support Mexico. So, and that's why it started that way.
Yeah.
But now it's more of just like a marketing thing.
Well, this other thing that I found here made it interesting too, because I hadn't seen this part of it. What I was just telling y'all right before we started recording, how when 1933, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt was in office, they used that with, where is it? Let me find it again. The Good Neighbor policy to try and improve relationships with, Latin American countries and Mexico. They used that to their advantage to like make it like a celebration and hey, we like you all, whatever, we're going to celebrate this and, just try and use that in a way. And to me, that was kind of funny, just kind of pulling those political moves like that.
Yeah.
And then it was after, cause like we were mentioning, it was a political rally for them every year. Well, it started off with some political parties that then spread out through California that would all try and raise funds, and I forget the exact methods that they were doing, but they were raising funds for the war in Mexico, and that kept going for years after that. Like, did you see that part where it started off with like, I guess the men? It was miners. It was Mexican miners that were I forget the name of the city, but it was some Mexican miners there in California, and eventually it turned into women that were leading the political rallies then. And I thought that was interesting too, how later it switched. Like that was, I don't know, that was really surprising and really interesting. But they took that movement, and in 1933 they used that to their as a political move, and then it was later on in like the 40s and 50s. Once like Chicano movement started and Mexican Americans, that their whole movement started of like, you've got second, third, fourth generation Mexicans now in California, the Southwest, and other places. And, they started using Cinco de Mayo as like their show of pride is more of what it was. It wasn't like, let's all just get drunk and celebrate a fake Mexican holiday. It was just like more of like, this is our day, as, it started from California as like their movement and celebration of being Mexican. And then it just kind of carried on. And it was later on in like the 80s when corporations saw that as a way of like, well, let's sell Mexican food and beers and margaritas and whatever else. And that's when it started really becoming like an American thing. And I mean, how do y'all feel about that? I know you're all too young to drink, obviously. But I mean, what do y'all think about that? Because like as an older person, like hearing people say Drinko de Mayo and, like, Seriously, yeah. And like when I lived in Texas, you know, Texas has a huge Hispanic population, especially like San Antonio where I lived. It's like you see all these other non-Mexicans and they're like super excited for Cinco de Mayo because then they can go out and get a margarita for cheap. And it's just like it was so annoying to me, man. It just really like it would always leave me upset. Like I always hated Cinco de Mayo because of that. I mean, I guess from your perspective, like what do y'all think about that? Like how people use it that way?
I wish it was still how it was before, how it was more of like empowerment of our culture, but they kind of took advantage of that. And no, honestly, sometimes like my non-Mexican friends, if they ask me like, "Oh, what are you doing for Cinco de Mayo?" It's like nothing. Like, like what is there to do? Like I'm not gonna go out to drink. I'm not gonna eat I eat Mexican food every day. Like I get it on sale from home. My mom makes food. Like you can't get better than that. Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's like corporations just trying to sell stuff for cheaper. People just taking advantage of that as well. But it's still frustrating at times when it's like just a bunch of cultural appropriation, and it's like it really seems disrespectful at like a certain point where I really don't understand it.
Yeah.
Yes, some people are like very, like, they go overboard with it. Because, like, if you wear the sombrero and, like, the mustache and, like, the outfit, like, that doesn't really bother me. Because it's like, wow, that's fun. You know? It's like, whatever, like, dress up. But, like, once they start doing, like, the fake accent or, like, they start, like, acting drunk when they're not, like, slurring their words or, like, just making like some weird jokes, that's when it's like that's kind of like too far, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't have to go that far. You can just wear the outfit and have fun, but you don't have to like do all the extra things. Mm-hmm. But I do like the one thing I do like about like Cinco de Mayo and like the marketing is that like all the Mexican themed stuff that go on sale or like that pop up.
You can decorate your house for cheaper.
Because like or like the clothes or like the shoes, like Nike brands, like the Jarito shoes.
Sure. I
kind of want those, to be honest.
You're not gonna get those.
I'm not gonna get them. I don't have the money, but like in my heart, I have them.
You gotta get some reps, man.
Your shoes identify as the Jarito Nikes.
Yeah, I would say I really feel like it's like a word to describe it would be insensitive. Like it's just like you don't really care about like me or my culture. You're just using this as like a day to have fun and drink. And then most people will just pretend like, oh no, I'm celebrating. No, you're not. You don't even know what it means because if we barely know what it means, like I didn't know, like, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's just very insensitive. And then like the whole dressing up thing, that I know you say that's fun, but that personally bothers me because I don't like find it funny like being made a joke.
It's kind of like blackface.
Like,
like
things like that. It's not funny to me. Like you're making a joke of me, and that's like insensitive. So like things like that, I feel like that's what Cinco de Mayo brings, a lot of like insensitivity.
Sure.
Yeah. Honestly, if you want to dress up, you dress up. Like, you feel me? I don't really see it
as
insensitive. Like, I've done it before. I don't know, but I mean, if you're trying to have fun, I mean, I'm not gonna stop you. Be like, oh, it's insensitive. You can't do that. I mean, they're having fun. Just let them be. But yeah, like sometimes it could be obnoxious and like start like acting like drunk or something, or like just being like annoying. I'm like, all right, bro, you need to like come on. Like, there's really like no reason to like impersonate like one of us, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, if you're like dressing up, trying to have fun, go out for a drink. I mean, you go ahead, man. I mean, just live your life the way you want to, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So the whole point of this was to just have a conversation about Cinco de Mayo, since that's right around the corner. And you know, like I like I said, I've always had my disdain for this holiday just because of the way people celebrate it and the way people act about it. And I wasn't in favor of celebrations for it for the longest time, but then seeing all this about California and the way it was a political thing that helped Mexico, and then it became just like a cultural pride thing, and it wasn't anything ever to do with Mexican Independence Day. But then later got turned into that, you know, and I appreciate the fact that Chicanos in California Mexicans were celebrating this for a whole other reason, and that's where like the parades and things like that came from. I appreciate that, and I wanted to bring all of you together just to kind of have a talk about this, see your thoughts and feelings on this, and that way we can maybe put this out to the rest of the school and community and just, get a little more education out there about what it is. It's not Mexican Independence Day. Do not tell a Mexican it's Happy Independence Day. Especially don't tell a Puerto Rican or another Latino, you know what I'm saying, Happy Cinco de Mayo, because no other Latin American country really cares about Cinco de Mayo. Mexico doesn't even care about Cinco de Mayo, so definitely don't do that. Don't be ignorant. And you were just saying, do your research if you are going to celebrate it, but there's actually not a lot of information out there about this. Like I found this through some people I know in California where like they were sharing articles, and I clicked on one because I was just curious of what it was. I forget what the headline was, but it was something that really intrigued me. And then that's where I started to learn like, oh wow, this is something that I didn't even realize that it was. And so I found that really, really interesting. And then just like us sitting here and talking about it, we looked up more articles and found some more information. And I literally just before recording this, found this out about, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And so, I just wanted to really have a conversation about that, get some information out so that people understand it is definitely not Mexican Independence Day. So don't say that. All right. And yeah, if you're gonna celebrate it, I guess do it right and do it
Respectfully.
Respectfully,
Yeah.
Exactly. So thank y'all for joining me on this. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for recording us. All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
Good. How did that sound on y'all's end over there?